Vietnam, 1965. A North Vietnamese soldier is captured near Ia Drang. During interrogation, he's asked what his men feared most. Not the artillery, not the helicopters. He points at the small black rifle leaning against the wall. The one his commanders called the Black Rifle. The one that left wounds their field medics couldn't explain. This is the story of how a rifle nobody in the Pentagon wanted became the most feared and most copied combat weapon of the modern era. To understand fear, you first have to understand rejection. In the late 1950s, the U.S. Army was in love with wood and steel. The M16 was king, a heavy, hard-kicking rifle firing a full-power 7.62 cartridge. It looked like a soldier's rifle. It felt like a soldier's rifle. There was just one problem. In actual combat testing, most soldiers couldn't control it on full auto. The recoil walked the muzzle into the sky after 2 rounds. Enter Eugene Stoner. Not a general, not a career ordnance man, an engineer from an aircraft company, Armalite. Stoner didn't think like a gunsmith. He thought like someone building airplanes. Aluminum instead of steel, fiberglass and polymer instead of walnut, a straight-line stock that sent recoil directly into the shoulder instead of flipping the muzzle upward. The result was the AR-15, barely 6 pounds, firing a small, screaming fast .22-23 caliber round. The Army generals looked at this plastic and aluminum thing and laughed. They called it a toy, a Mattel rifle. They stopped laughing in 1962. Here's where the legend begins, and where the fear comes from. Conventional wisdom said bigger bullets meant bigger wounds. The M16's round was tiny, 55 grains, roughly a third the weight of the old .30 caliber ammunition. But Stoner's round didn't rely on mass. It relied on velocity. That small bullet left the muzzle at over 3,200 feet per second, nearly a kilometer every second. And at that speed, physics stops behaving politely. When the round struck, it didn't punch a clean hole. The bullet was barely stable. On impact, it yawed, tumbled, and at high velocity, it often fragmented. The energy dumped into the target all at once, creating a temporary cavity far larger than the bullet itself. Early field reports from Vietnam read less like after-action summaries and more like horror stories. Wounds that looked like they came from something much larger. Enemy soldiers dropped by single hits that older rifles would have needed several rounds to match. Some of those early reports were exaggerated. Legends grow in jungles. But the reputation had been planted. And in war, reputation is a weapon of its own. The North Vietnamese didn't need ballistics laboratories. They needed one word passed from unit to unit. Avoid the Black Rifle. But fear cuts both ways. And for a brutal stretch of 1966 and 1967, the men most afraid of the M16 were the Americans carrying it. This is the chapter most documentaries rush past. We won't. The original AR-15 that Stoner designed worked. It was tested extensively. It ran clean. Then the Army took over. And the Army made changes. They switched the gunpowder from the extruded powder Stoner specified to a cheaper ball powder. That powder burned dirtier and raised the rifle's cycling rate beyond its design limits. They told soldiers the rifle was self-cleaning, a claim so false it borders on criminal. Cleaning kits weren't even issued at first. The chambers weren't chrome-lined. The result? Rifles jamming in firefights, failure to extract, a spent casing stuck in the chamber while the enemy kept coming. Marines were found dead next to disassembled rifles, killed while trying to clear a jam with a cleaning rod. Congress investigated. The 1967 ICORD subcommittee didn't mince words. The rifle's failures were caused by decisions made after it left Stoner's hands. Read that again. The most feared rifle in the world nearly died, not on the battlefield, but in a procurement office.